What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're taking a look at Identity, directed by James Mangold. The story of Identity is as follows. 10 strangers are forced to take refuge in a motel during a very bad rainstorm that has pretty much flooded the roads and cut off pretty much any access to the outside world. While taking refuge in this motel, they all start to be mysteriously picked off one by one. In parallel to this story, there's also the story of this murderer named Malcolm Rivers, who is awaiting trial for crimes that he had committed. So yeah, that's the overall story of Identity. Okay, so let's start with the positives of this movie first. Overall, the cast in this movie is rock solid. I thought every single actor in this movie played their roles to a T, and I like the whole structure of this having a Agatha Christie-like structure to it, in which these 10 people are in this one location and they start to get mysteriously picked off one by one. But as they're getting picked off one by one, we slowly start to learn how they're all connected. And when it's revealed and when it's all tied up in the third act, you can either like it or you can hate it, depending on how you want to perceive it. I actually thought that it was kind of ingenious. Not a big of a fan about who the killer ended up being who the killer ended up being. I think it's a stretch in logic. Now at the same time, it's a movie, so you gotta break the rules a little bit. But to me, it came across as a swerve for the sake of a swerve, and logic gets thrown out the window. That's just how I perceived it. But everything leading up to that, I thought was really well done. I thought the cast was rock solid. The story keeps you gripped from beginning to end. I like the whole idea of everything being in this one location. To me, this movie kind of felt like Psycho. You know, you got these people at this very dingy and creepy motel. You have a big rainstorm that's pretty much cut you off away from the world, and now you have this killer amongst you who's picking you off one by one. To me, it reminded me of Psycho in a way, and I kind of like that. And I got to give James Mangold a lot of credit, because he's somebody who clearly understands, cinema and how to make movies and how to make his movies interesting and gripping, because he is a fantastic director. He's one of my favorite directors working today. And this cinematography done by Fedon Carmichael is excellent. This is a beautiful looking movie in terms of its cinematography. It looks very sleek and stylized, but also kind of has a noirish feel to it. Mangold knows how to take the modern techniques, but also mix in a little bit of that old school stuff from the 30s and the 50s and the 40s, and make a noir style thriller, which is what this really is, to me at least. But with a modern take to it. I think for the most part, a lot of the characters to me are very interesting. I like John Cusack as the character of Ed Washington. I like the fact that he's a former cop who's a limo driver because he couldn't take being a cop. Ray Liotta plays Sam Rhodes, who up until the third act we believe is an FBI agent, but he's just an escaped convict. Posing as a cop as he's trying to escape with his partner played by Jake Busey. The big revelation to that I thought was actually pretty cool and actually very well done. But I like how up to that, Ray Liotta is doing a really good job at convincing everyone that he's on the right side of good, even though there's something suspicious about him, especially when you see this scene where he has a big blood stain on the back of his shirt. And then when we get to the end of the movie, we find out how that blood stain happened. He actually killed the real cop and assumed his identity. So I kind of like that. I thought that was really cool. I like Amanda Peet in this movie as a former prostitute trying to change her life. I thought she was fine in the role as well. Amanda Peet will never go down as a world-class actress who has range that can go on for days. But if you utilize her strengths, she's good. And in this movie, I found her to be good. The same thing with Clea Duvall, who plays a newlywed character, along with William Lee Scott. I thought they were fine in their roles as well. They don't really do a whole lot, but for what they are, they're there. John C. McGinley plays a family man with a wife and kid. It's actually the wife getting hit by a car accidentally by John Cusack's character is what gets everyone to this. It's what starts to get everyone to this motel. And I thought John C. McGinley, he was fine. He doesn't give an earth-shattering performance, but he's good in the role. He's good for what's being asked of him. So I really don't have no complaints about that. John Hawkes playing the manager of the motel. he has that right amount of creepiness to it and that right amount of suspect to him. And John Hawkins plays the role really, really well. I like how he had this antagonistic relationship with Amanda Peet's character at first, since the character of Larry clearly does not like prostitutes or whores or things like that. So at first their relationship is antagonistic. Then as the film progresses, he kind of eases off of it just a little bit. So I thought that was a nice little quirk. Jake Busey playing this Jake Busey playing this killer. I like how he's used as a red herring at first, as the one who's committing all these murders, until you get to the third act where it's revealed that it was not him. But I don't think Jake Busey gets enough screen time. He's built up a lot, but I think I would have liked to have seen a flashback scene of Jake Busey's character doing something vicious and heinous, just to get more of a feel for him. Instead, everything that's told about him is mostly done through dialogue. I would like to see just one scene of him doing something, or at least have a scene of a character doing something, and you see Jake Busey's character like stalking them, just to give like the sense of dread in a way, to kind of to put more emphasis on him being more of a red herring. That's what I would have done. That's just me personally. In terms of how the characters are all picked off, I thought they're all pretty picked off in pretty decent ways. You have one character who gets decapitated. Another one gets a baseball bat shoved down his throat. One guy gets hit by a car. Another woman is suffocated. Like they all go out in gruesome ways. And like I said, when you get to the third act and the revelation of the killer is revealed, it kind of everything you've seen up to that point, you're kind of scratching your head. Okay, how can this happen? I don't understand. I'm still lost a little bit. I mean, I understand from the context of the movie, but when you try to apply real life logic to it, you're kind of scratching your head. Now, in parallel to the people at the hotel dealing with their dilemma, you have this other story of this ex-con named Malcolm Rivers, who is being put on trial for murders that he's committed. And of course, you have Alfred Molina, who puts on a decent performance as his doctor, trying to convince a judge that Malcolm Rivers can't be responsible for the murders he committed because he suffers from DID, dissociative identity disorder. And it's actually revealed that these characters in a hotel are actually the several personalities of Malcolm Rivers fighting for dominance and trying to get the killer out. So basically, up until the third act, we've been seeing this inner fight between Malcolm's personalities trying to claim dominance over his mind. It's very interesting. It's very creative, and it kind of puts the movie now in a whole new perspective, because now you're seeing the inside of this sick man's mind and what he has to go through on a daily basis. Is that he has no identity of his own. He has all these other identities trying to fight claim over the domain. I thought that was actually pretty interesting. I thought that was actually pretty cool, and I like how the movie revealed that. Like I said, it puts the movie in a whole new light, so to speak. Now, when you get to the conclusion of the movie, and it's revealed that it was the little boy named Timmy who had done all the killings. I mean, listen, if you want to do a shock ending, I get it. But when you put everything into context, it's kind of just strange, because how can a kid do all this? Like, this requires some intelligent preparation. Just because the kid barely said a word throughout the entire movie, and just because he just so happened to leave at certain points, I still can't buy a kid killing all these people. That's just me personally. But then again, it kind of goes back to the character of Malcolm, because he suffered from heinous abuse when he was a child. So from the movie standpoint, I get it, but from an actual viewing standpoint, it kind of just fell on me a little bit. It's like the movie was so good up until the revelation of Timmy being the killer, and it kind of just like it didn't ruin the movie for me. It just made me question a lot of things now, because this kid needs to have brute strength in order to shove a baseball down a full-grown man's throat. I don't care if the man's bound to a chair. A child of his stature cannot shove a baseball bat down a man's throat. A child cannot go up to a full-grown woman and cut her head off. And especially a child cannot orchestrate a car explosion the way he did towards the end of the movie. So yeah, those gaps in logic really just, fell on me. But I do like how I do like how the killer personality took over Malcolm Rivers at the end of the movie. I thought that was actually a nice dark ending. So, with all that being said, I actually really enjoyed Identity for the most part. This is a very good movie. It's very solid, kind of really underrated, especially in James Mangold's catalog of films, which is why I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. I highly recommend this movie. If you've never seen it, it's worth the watch. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.